But lesson 1.6. It's factoring when you have a greatest common factor each term, okay, that you'll take out first. So what that means is greatest common factor. If you look here, these all have a factor you can take out first. So for example, this is a 3, this is a multiple of 3, and this is a multiple of 3. So I can factor a 3 out of each of these terms. And that'll be your first step. Step 1 is to take out your greatest common factor. I think we did lesson 1.1, 1.2 is similar to this in this series. So here I can take a 3 out. I'll still have an x squared. 24 divided by 3, make sure I put this as negative 8x. And 27 divided by 3 is negative 9. Okay? After you do that, step 2 is just factor the inside. Please make sure when you factor the inside, make sure you keep that 3. A lot of people forget to write the 3 and just write the factor form, and that's not correct. It's not equivalent. All right, so in order to figure out what this factor should be next, I got to multiply to be negative 9 and add to be 8. So these are going to be opposite signs. Since this adds to be negative 8, the large one's going to be negative. So I got 1 and negative 9, and then 3 and negative 3. And this is the one that'll be there. So this would be x plus 1, x minus 9. And this is your factored form. Once again, if you leave the 3 off, that would be incorrect because these are not equivalent. These should be, equivalent, just different forms. Okay. All right, example 2. Now if you look, there's no integers I can factor out, common integers, but they all have an x. So since they all have an x, I can take an x out. So I take an x out. Here I'll be left with x squared. This would be minus 4x minus 12. And then from there I can go ahead and say, all right, what multiplies to be negative 12 and adds to be negative 4? So I know they're opposites, and the larger one's going to be negative. So this will be positive, this will be negative. So I got 1 and negative 12. No, that's not it. Negative, positive 2 and negative 8. 6. And that ends up being negative 4. So it'd be, once again, you got to put the x there. So it's x plus 2, x minus 6, and this would be your whole factored form. All right, last one. You'll see they all have a 5 in common, and they all have an x in common. So I can take both of those things out. So I'll take a 5 out and an x out. So when I do that, here I'm left with x squared. This would be 4x, and then this would be minus 5 with no x's. Okay. Once I've done that, I go, all right, what multiplies to be negative 5, and it adds to be 4. So now the larger one's going to be positive, so it adds up. So the only way to do that is negative 1 and 5. It's only multiple of 5. And that does add to be 4. So your factored form is the following. Okay? And that's your answer. All right, so that's 1.6, factoring with the greatest common factor. Go ahead and you should be able to do practice 1.6 now.